The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Well, even if you are not a sports fan, we have had a very interesting, and I would argue very important event take place in the last 24 hours. The NBA's Jason Collins, who played with the Boston Celtics, the Washington Wizards this season, and is now a free agent, has disclosed that he is gay, making him the first openly gay male athlete in the 4 major American pro team sports. He is a center. He is now a free agent, like I mentioned, and he said this in a column which appears in the upcoming issue of Sports Illustrated. And he wrote that the killing of 3 people at the Boston Marathon actually persuaded him to make this announcement, saying things can change in a moment. Why not start living more truthfully? That's what he wrote in Sports Illustrated. And the managing editor of Sports Illustrated, Chris Stone, said that Collins was kind of reticent about coming out first, being the first of what we know, Lewis, intuitively, and we've heard from others, at least several players, we don't know how many, who are currently playing in the 4 major team sports and are gay.
Unlike what Phil Jackson said, that they do exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He said, Chris Stone, the managing editor of Sports Illustrated, said, it is a much simpler, more personal reason. He wants to have a family. He wants the same life that his twin brother Jaron has. This is a secret he's kept for a very long time. He didn't even inform his brother that he was gay until last summer. So much for twin telepathy. And some people are likening this to the announcement, likening this announcement to Jackie Robinson, who was the first African-American baseball player to play in Major League Baseball in the modern era. Now, I actually think that there are similarities in terms of the impact. The key difference for me is that, for the most part, in most cases, you can tell when someone is black by looking at them. And as we know here, and as really has been the focus of a lot of the discussion around gay and lesbian athletes in team sports, you can't tell who is in the locker room with you. And that, will, as we'll get to when we look at the criticisms, that's actually a factor in the criticisms, but different in that way, but just as, along the same lines in terms of what it means.
Of course, yeah.
NBA Commissioner David Stern said that Collins, the 34-year-old veteran, is widely respected in the league. He said, we are proud he has assumed the leadership mantle on this very important issue. Boston Celtics head coach Doc Rivers said Collins is a pro's pro and one of the favorite players he has ever coached. Going on to say, if you have learned anything from Jackie Robinson, it is that teammates are always the first to accept. It will be society who has to learn tolerance. And President Obama called Collins to express his support, and he said he was impressed by his courage. And today, actually, even after President Obama ended kind of officially the press conference he did this morning, somebody yelling, hey, do you want to comment on Jason Collins? And he said, yeah, actually, I will. And he actually spoke for a few minutes about it and saying that it is important. This is very important. And again, even if you don't care about sports specifically, think about kids, right? Kids who maybe don't play team sports when they're in high school because they don't see that there are out gay athletes in pro sports. Now they see this and they see what has been overall very, very positive reaction. This can have a real effect, right, Natan? The idea that this is just, oh, we make an announcement and everybody's happy except for a few people and it's all blah, blah. This has a very important effect.
Yeah, I think it's both an example of how much progress has been made and something that's going to catalyze even more progress, above and beyond the world of sports. Obviously, it seems less likely that we're going to see this very soon in the NFL potentially, but at some point it's going to happen there too.
Yep.
And it's going to be normalized. In 10 to 20 years, this will look like ancient history, I think.
My question is, what will be the reaction once we know what is obvious, right? That there are gay athletes in all major sports. What will happen to kind of the stereotypical tough guy NFL fans, right? If they know that, hey, there's a player that maybe you're a fan of on the team you support who's gay. Do you not like the sport as much? Do you have what happens, Lewis? I mean, I'm fascinated to see what happens.
Well, I mean, what your implication is that tough guy football fans are all homophobic?
No, not that they all are, but I'm wondering for the ones that are.
I think the majority of fans won't care. I think there will be a handful who, if they realize that their favorite player is gay and they are or were homophobic, they'll say, hey, well, maybe it's not so bad. And then I'm sure there are some that will just find a new player to like.
No, I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Everything okay back there in the town?
What do you mean?
No, just everything's working fine?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Good. Very good.